All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Diogenes, the first MGTO, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. The man who can't think is already dead. How women, wokeism, and weak schools are turning men into emotional zombies, and what you must do before it's too late. You know that feeling when you wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m., realizing you've spent the last decade doing everything right? College degree, 9-to-5 grind, therapy, emotional availability, only to find yourself divorced, childless, broke, and banned from your kid's life by a woman who once cried on your shoulder about her trauma. Yeah, welcome to the Matrix. Only this isn't a simulation. It's gynocentric reality, a rigged game where men are the NPCs, programmed to serve, suffer, and disappear quietly. I've watched brothers get divorced over a look they gave another woman, fathers arrested for commenting on a Facebook post, boys suspended for existing too loudly in school. Meanwhile, the same system that pathologizes male strength celebrates female destruction. 73% of divorces are initiated by women, US. Census, abortion rates have surpassed 1 billion globally since 1980 WHO, and in family courts, fathers without lawyers lose custody 94% of the time, ACLU. But here's the punchline. You were taught this was your fault, that if you just listened more, been more vulnerable, checked your privilege, you'd be loved. What rot, what poison. You weren't broken, you were bred to be broken. Like cattle led to slaughter with a pat on the head and a promise of pasture. Let me tell you about a man I knew. Call him James, smart, loyal, married with 2 kids. One day, his wife accused him of emotional abuse because he didn't want to attend her feminist book club. HR got involved. Then therapy, then the police, because she claimed he intimidated her by locking the garage door. He lost his job, his house, and now pays $2,800 a month to support a woman who openly mocks him online. But here's the real horror. James still thinks he didn't show up enough. That's how deep the programming goes. They don't just take your money, your kids, your freedom. They take your mind. They replace it with guilt, shame, and the lie that you are the oppressor. This isn't feminism. This is psychological warfare wrapped in a yoga mat and a sob story, and behind it all, the same weaponized emotional alchemy women have used since Eve. Guilt as a blade, tears as a battering ram, and victimhood as a crown. Schopenhauer saw it coming. Woman is a spider in silk, weaving traps with sentiment. He wasn't being harsh, he was being accurate. And the left didn't oppose it. They weaponized it, turning guilt into a systemic tool of control. Male privilege, toxic masculinity, microaggressions. These aren't ideas, they're cognitive landmines planted in your brain to stop you from thinking, speaking, being. But I've got news. The red pill isn't just about women, it's about thought itself. Can you think critically when your boss, your wife, and your TV tell you to shut up? Can you be authentic when every reward in life comes from mimicry? And will you defend your brother when the mob demands his head on a plate? These aren't questions, they're tests. And if you fail them, you're not a man. You're a ghost wearing a wedding ring and a participation trophy. The mask of authenticity, can he think? Or is he just a mimic? SAMD man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell the truth. Oscar Wilde, and the most terrifying thing about that quote isn't its poetic irony, it's that the modern man doesn't even know he's wearing the mask. He thinks the mask is his face. He was handed it in kindergarten when the teacher praised him for being nice, reinforced it in grade school when he got an A for participation, and sealed it shut in college when a sociology professor told him his thoughts were problematic unless they aligned with the latest feminist grievance. He is not a man. He is a social algorithm, trained to mirror, to please, to perform. He is the ultimate beta, not because he lacks strength, but because he lacks self. He has been systematically deprogrammed from thinking by a culture that worships emotionalism, female primacy, and ideological conformity. I once met a man, let's call him Dave, who could switch accents depending on who he was talking to. Suburban drawl with his buddies, soft-spoken intellectual tone at work, and a bizarre, high-pitched, smooth voice around women. He wasn't being ironic. He wasn't acting. He genuinely believed this was adaptability. But adaptability is not identity diffusion. A chameleon changes color to survive. Dave changed his soul to be liked. He wasn't adapting, he was disappearing. And he's not alone. The DSM-5 calls it identity disturbance, a hallmark of borderline personality, but we've normalized it. We call it emotional intelligence. We reward it with promotions, dates, and social media likes. But make no mistake, a man without a core is not emotionally intelligent, he is existentially bankrupt. He is a hollow reed, bending to every ideological wind, snapping under the weight of his own cowardice. I ask you, when was the last time you saw a man state an unpopular opinion and stand on it, without apology, without hedging, without scanning the room for approval? Not on YouTube with a camera, not in a rage post, but in real life, over drinks, at work, in a relationship. Silence, because the modern male has been reduced to a mimic. His mirror neurons, those neurological pathways designed for empathy and learning, have been hijacked by a genocentric dopamine economy. Every time he agrees with a woman's illogical rant, every time he nods along to corporate diversity nonsense, every time he suppresses his instinct to call out female hypocrisy, he gets a hit of social validation, dopamine, approval, safety, but it's poison. Neuroscientists like Iagoboni and Keezers have shown how mirror neurons fire not just when we observe action, but when we anticipate social reward. We are hardwired to seek connection, yes, but the modern world exploits this wiring to turn men into obedient puppets. A toddler learns to smile when mommy smiles healthy. A 35-year-old man learns to agree with his girlfriend's delusional take on toxic masculinity pathological, and the system rewards him for it. He gets sex, he gets peace, he gets not being called an abuser. But he loses his mind, he loses his voice, he becomes a mimic, not a man, and mimics don't lead. They don't build, they don't fight, they don't father. They survive on crumbs of approval, on the faint hope that if they keep smiling, keep nodding, keep pretending, someone will finally say, "You're a good man." But no one will, because they don't see a man, they see a mirror. And don't be fooled by the authenticity grifters, the bearded dudes on Instagram preaching live your truth while selling 97 masterminds, or the Andrew Tate critics who scream he's fake from their mother's basement while wearing feminist slogan t-shirts. These men are not authentic, they are performing authenticity. True authenticity is not a brand. It is not a flex, it is not something you put on for the camera. Authenticity is what remains when the crowd turns on you. It is Odysseus, alone on the raft, navigating the wrath of gods and monsters, refusing to bend. It is Achilles, choosing honor over life, knowing it will cost him everything. These men were not adaptable, they were responsible. Jordan Peterson nailed it. Consciousness is not awareness, it is responsibility. The moment you see the truth, you are obligated to speak it, not because it's safe, not because it's popular, but because you are the one who sees it, and if you don't speak it, who will? The modern man avoids this burden like the plague. He parrots the media, he repeats the campus talking points, he says, "I'm not sexist," and then proceeds to defend the indefensible. Why? Because he hasn't passed the trivium test. Can he use grammar to clarify his thoughts? Can he use logic to defend them against counter-argument? Can he use rhetoric to persuade under pressure? I've watched men collapse in Reddit threads when challenged on male disposability, divorce fraud, or female hypergamy. One guy wrote a whole post about men need to do better, but when I asked him for data on false domestic violence accusations, he vanished. Another defended no-fault divorce until I cited the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy study showing 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and he blocked me. This is not thinking, this is mimicry. This is ideological reflex, and it is killing men. The remedy is not therapy, it is not meditation, it is philosophical combat. Every day you must pick up Schopenhauer and let him stab you with truth. You must read Marcus Aurelius and learn to stand alone. You must wrestle with Nietzsche and emerge with your own will. You must keep a truth journal, not to express yourself, but to interrogate yourself. Write down your beliefs, then destroy them, rebuild them, test them. This is not self-help. This is self-creation. The red pill is not a revelation, it is a responsibility. Once you see the matrix of feminist lies, leftist propaganda, and female deception, you must act. You must walk away from relationships built on manipulation. You must reject jobs that demand ideological compliance. You must stop funding the machine that crushes men. The data is undeniable. 400,000 men are arrested annually in the US for commenting on a woman's appearance. Male suicide is 3.5x higher than female. 80% of family court cases result in children being taken from fathers. Abortion rates over 600,000 per year in the US, most by women who chose the man, then chose to destroy the child. These are not social issues. They are war crimes against men. And every man who nods along, who stays silent, who mimics the approved narrative, he is a collaborator. You want to be authentic? Then start by thinking. Ask yourself, what do I believe? Not your professor, not your girlfriend, not the BBC. You, and if you can't answer, that's the problem. You've been lobotomized by the cult of female primacy and leftist moral superiority. Wake up, stand up, speak up, or remain a ghost, haunting your own life, wearing a mask you think is your face. The truth will set you free, but only if you're willing to fight for it. I've seen men shattered not by war or poverty, but by a whisper. How could you doubt her? That whisper isn't concern. It's a dagger coated in honey, plunged into the chest of a man who still believes in truth. I once was that man. I believed sincerity mattered, that loyalty would be returned, that asking for honesty was not a crime. But the world doesn't reward truth, it punishes it, especially when it threatens the sacred cow of female innocence. And so, like Diogenes with his lamp, I began walking through the moral ruins of this civilization. Not looking for an honest man, but for the source of the lie, the engine that powers betrayal, silences dissent, and turns fatherhood into a financial death sentence. What I found wasn't conspiracy, it was custom. And the fuel, guilt, the guilt engine, how women weaponize emotion to enslave men. Woman is the most dangerous of all creatures, not because of strength, but because of cunning, particularly emotional manipulation. Schopenhauer didn't mince words, and neither will I. I once watched a man, call him Tom, break down in a Reddit thread titled, "I paid $87,000 in child support for a child that isn't mine. His wife had lied, the DNA test came back. 0% chance. But the court didn't care. The system didn't care. His ex played the heartbroken mother, weaponizing tears like artillery, while judges nodded solemnly, as if watching a Shakespearean tragedy written by a feminist hack. Tom wasn't just defrauded, he was ritualistically humiliated, forced to fund the very lie that destroyed his life. And why? Because guilt is the velvet glove over the iron fist of genocentric tyranny. You think it's about fairness. It's not. It's about control. Studies by Bellis Italo show paternity fraud reaches 30% in certain populations. That's not an anomaly, it's a strategy. Evolution didn't equip women with fangs or claws, but with a far deadlier arsenal: crocodile tears, sighs like church bells, and the art of making you feel like the monster for daring to question. Thus, 2003 nailed it. Women evolved to exploit male protectiveness, not through force, but through feigned vulnerability. It's not love, it's emotional judo. They don't overpower you. They use your strength against you, like Judas kissing Christ before the betrayal. I remember a custody battle story from a forum where a father was denied access to his kids because he failed to show empathy during a therapy session, apparently. Calmly stating facts about visitation rights counts as emotional neglect. The therapist, a woman, recommended increased maternal custody. This isn't justice, it's gynocratic inquisition. The same mechanism runs through HR departments where men are railroaded for toxic masculinity after refusing to kiss their boss's ego like a vassal. The Puritans used public shaming for adultery. Today it's social media cancel culture. Same tool, same purpose. Suppress male autonomy through guilt. I watched a guy get fired for saying men and women are biologically different in a Slack channel. No debate, no due process. Just a mob of women-led DEI hyenas descending, shrieking about harm. The limbic system doesn't know Twitter from a witch trial. It just knows fear. The shame spiral is real. Your heart races, palms sweat, stomach knots. Not because you're guilty, but because your brain remembers being 6 years old and being told you were bad for crying. Leftists know this. They weaponize it. White guilt, male guilt, privilege guilt. These aren't moral awakenings, they're cognitive hijackings, scaled emotional blackmail to dismantle Western civilization from within. The guilt engine doesn't want reform, it wants submission. So how do you fight it? Epictetus didn't cry when his leg was broken by a slave owner. He said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." These men weren't toxic, they were immune. The antidote to guilt is emotional sovereignty. I train men to run the guilt interrogation protocol. When guilt hits, ask who benefits, what action is being demanded. Is it rational or emotional extortion? A woman says, "If you loved me, you'd quit your job to follow me to Seattle." Who benefits her? What's demanded? Financial servitude. Is it rational? No. It's sentimental coercion. This isn't love. It's effective hostage-taking. I've seen the martyr mother refuse to let her son visit his father because it hurts her feelings. The wounded girlfriend threatens suicide if you check her phone. And the virtue-signaling sister accuse her brother of misogyny for disagreeing with her. These are not accidents. They are tactics. The male conscience evolved for tribe protection is being exploited like a backdoor in software. But you can patch it. Daily reflection, exposure to shame, yes, stand on a street corner and yell facts if you must, and a return to honor-based ethics where you act not out of fear but out of integrity. Honor is not what others think of you. It's what you know to be true when no one's watching. That's how Diogenes lived. That's how you break free. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Nietzsche, and I'll tell you mine right now, I stay loyal because the world is drowning in betrayal, and someone has to be the rock, the unbroken chain, the man who doesn't flinch when the tribe demands a sacrifice. I don't care if you're my brother, my buddy, or the guy who owes me 20 bucks. I don't throw you under the bus for a pat on the back from HR or a gold star on Twitter. That's not virtue, that's cowardice dressed up as courage. And the modern world, it's a factory of cowards. Let's get one thing straight. Loyalty is not some optional extra like a leather interior on a leased SUV. It's the engine, and when loyalty dies, so does manhood. You want proof? Look around. Look at the college campus where a man whispers a joke to his roommate, a joke, not a manifesto, and the next day he's in front of a disciplinary panel because his buddy snitched to avoid being associated with problematic speech. This isn't justice. This is snitch culture, a Marxist fever dream where every man is a potential informant, and trust is the first casualty. Greg Lukianoff documented it clearly in The Coddling of the American Mind, the rise of emotional reasoning, the infantilization of students, and the weaponization of safetyism. But let's be honest, this isn't about safety. It's about power. It's about creating a society where no man can trust another, where every friendship is a potential liability, where the moment you deviate from the approved script, your brother turns rat. And why? Because he's afraid of being cancelled, afraid of being called a bigot, afraid of being left out, so he sells you out, and he feels virtuous doing it. This is not how men were made to live. We were not forged in fire to whisper confessions to HR or scroll through Twitter looking for sins to report. We were made to stand shoulder to shoulder, to fight back to back in the phalanx, to take the spear thrust so the man beside us can survive. When I was young, I read of Diogenes dragging the wounded Odysseus from the battlefield, bloodied and unconscious through a storm of Trojan arrows, not because it was safe, not because it was easy, but because it was right. That is loyalty, not the lukewarm, spreadsheet morality of solidarity demanded by campus ideologues where you signal boost a hashtag while letting your friend drown. No, real loyalty is costly. It risks your status, your comfort, your life. And that's why the left fears it, because a man who will die for his brother cannot be controlled by guilt, shamed into silence, or bribed with virtue points. He answers to a higher code, loyalty in the age of betrayal, the death of brotherhood and the rise of the snitch. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Nietzsche, and I'll tell you mine right now, I stay loyal because the world is drowning in betrayal, and someone has to be the rock, the unbroken chain, the man who doesn't flinch when the tribe demands a sacrifice. I don't care if you're my brother, my buddy, or the guy who owes me 20 bucks. I don't throw you under the bus for a pat on the back from HR or a gold star on Twitter. That's not virtue, that's cowardice dressed up as courage. And the modern world, it's a factory of cowards. Let's get one thing straight. Loyalty is not some optional extra like a leather interior on a leased SUV. It's the engine, and when loyalty dies, so does manhood. You want proof? Look around. Look at the college campus where a man whispers a joke to his roommate, a joke, not a manifesto, and the next day he's in front of a disciplinary panel because his buddy snitched to avoid being associated with problematic speech. This isn't justice. This is snitch culture, a Marxist fever dream where every man is a potential informant, and trust is the first casualty. Greg Lukianoff documented it clearly in The Coddling of the American Mind, the rise of emotional reasoning, the infantilization of students, and the weaponization of safetyism. But let's be honest, this isn't about safety. It's about power. It's about creating a society where no man can trust another, where every friendship is a potential liability, where the moment you deviate from the approved script, your brother turns rat. And why? Because he's afraid of being canceled, afraid of being called a bigot, afraid of being left out. So he sells you out and he feels virtuous doing it. I've seen men collapse under pressure, real pressure, not Twitter outrage. I've read the Milgram experiment not as a demonstration of blind obedience, but as a diagnostic of male moral failure. When told to administer electric shocks, 65% of participants went all the way to 450 volts. But here's the truth they don't teach in Psych 101. Those weren't soldiers. Those weren't men forged in fire. Those were civilians, soft, untested, unbound by honor. Contrast that with the Ash conformity studies where subjects denied obvious visual truths just to fit in. Now apply that to the modern workplace. A man sees his colleague falsely accused, and instead of speaking up, he nods along with the mob. Why? Because loyalty is inconvenient, because truth is risky, because he wants to be liked. But let me tell you something, the Homeric heroes didn't give a damn about being liked. Diomedes didn't turn on Odysseus when Athena got mad. Achilles didn't report Patroclus for wearing his armor without permission. He raged when he died. These weren't therapy buddies. They weren't sharing feelings in a support group. They were warriors. They fought together. They bled together. And when one fell, the other took up the spear. That's brotherhood. That's loyalty. And Jordan Peterson wasn't wrong when he said we must bear the burden with your brother. Because virtue isn't born in comfort. It's forged in shared suffering, and today we don't suffer together, we complain together. We virtue signal together, we snitch together. And let's talk about the feminist Trojan horse. If he's a rapist, you must report him. Sounds noble, right? Sounds moral. But let's follow the logic. First, they redefine rape to include emotional discomfort. Then they redefine report to mean publicly destroy. Then they redefine brother to mean potential predator. And suddenly every male bond is suspect. Every friendship is a minefield. You're not allowed to defend your friend, not if he's accused, not even if the accusation is anonymous, not even if it's clearly false, because to defend him, that makes you complicit. That makes you part of the rape culture. This isn't justice. This is ideological warfare. A deliberate strategy to dissolve male alliances, to isolate men, to make every man a lone wolf, easy to control, easy to dominate. And it's working. Look at the cuckoldry rate. DNA testing shows that in some countries, up to 30% of children are not fathered by the man who thinks he's the dad. But when a man expresses concern about paternity, he's labeled toxic. He's told he doesn't trust women. Meanwhile, women can walk into a clinic, abort a child, and no one demands she consult a father. In fact, in many places, she's legally protected from telling him. But if a man expresses anger about that, he's angry, he's dangerous, he needs therapy. And the courts, don't get me started. In family court, men lose custody 80% of the time, even when there's no abuse. And if you protest, if you speak out, the police show up not to protect you, to arrest you. For disturbing the peace, for emotional distress. Meanwhile, women post videos of themselves destroying property, screaming obscenities, and walk away with a warning. That's not equality, that's gynocracy. And in this world, loyalty is a suicide pact, because the moment you stand by your brother, you're labeled his enabler. So here's my brotherhood litmus test. Would he lie to protect a friend from injustice? Would he fight for him? Or would he sell him out for social safety? Let's test it. In a military unit, if a soldier makes a mistake in combat, does his buddy report him? No, he covers for him. He fixes it. He gets him home. Why? Because the mission depends on trust. But in a corporate office, if a man jokes about diversity training, his friend will distance himself. He'll say, "I don't agree with everything he says." Translation, "I'm not loyal. I'm a survivor." And HR loves him for it. They reward snitches, whistleblower laws. They're not about exposing corruption. They're about incentivizing betrayal and social media. It's the ultimate snitch platform. One post, one comment, one reaction, and your friend can screenshot it, share it, ruin your life, and gain followers in the process. I've seen men destroyed by this, good men, honest men, men who trusted the wrong person, and the worst part, the snitch feels righteous. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's not. He's a coward with a smartphone. And we've created a civilization that rewards cowardice. Observe how he reacts when someone badmouths a friend. Does he defend, stay silent, or join the attack? That's your answer. That's his moral spine, or lack thereof. I once had a friend whose wife cheated. Not once, repeatedly. And when he confronted her, she accused him of abuse, filed a restraining order, got him banned from his own home, lost custody, ruined financially. And you know what his so-called friends did? They said, maybe you pushed her too hard. Maybe you didn't listen. Maybe you should have been more empathetic. Not one of them said, that's bullshit. She cheated. You're being destroyed, not won. Because loyalty is inconvenient, because truth is risky, because they wanted to stay neutral. But neutrality in the face of evil is complicity. And in the ancient world, such men would have been spat on. The Spartans didn't tolerate cowards. The Vikings exiled oath breakers. The Knights Templar executed traitors. But today we give them podcasts. We give them TED Talks. We call them thought leaders. The remedy, rebuild brotherhood. Not through touchy-feely workshops. Not through men's circles where everyone cries and shares their trauma. No. Through ritual, through shared hardship, through oath-bound loyalty. Join a combat sport. Go on a survivor retreat. Form a men's group that doesn't collapse when someone gets divorced. Forge bonds in fire, not in therapy. Because virtue isn't soft. It's hard. It's the steel that doesn't bend when the world demands betrayal. And let's trace the decay from warrior bands, Spartans, Vikings, who died for their brothers, to fraternities like the Knights, who lived by honor, to the Freemasons, who preserved ancient wisdom in secret, now reduced to charity events and awkward handshakes. And today, brotherhood is a meme, a joke, a hashtag, but it's not. It's the foundation of civilization. Because a man without loyalty is a traitor to his own soul. He's a ghost, a husk, a man who will sell his father for a promotion, his brother for a date, his honor for a like. And that's not manhood, that's extinction. I once had a student bright kid, engineering major, tell me he couldn't debate climate skepticism in class because it would ruin his GPA, not because he lacked evidence, not because he hadn't read the data, but because speaking the wrong thought in the wrong tone would get him branded, isolated, and academically neutered. That moment wasn't just sad, it was diagnostic. It revealed the metastasis from free inquiry to ideological enforcement, from university to indoctrination camp. And I realized then that silence isn't neutrality, it's complicity. And complicity is the first symptom of slavery. The tyranny of tolerance, how the left destroyed free speech to enslave the mind. He who fears speech fears truth. And he who fears truth already serves a lie. That line didn't come from a woke safe space. It came from the mouth of a man who drank hemlock rather than shut up. Socrates, my hero, my brother. I'm not drinking poison today, though I might if I tried to teach Plato at a modern university. Instead, I'm drinking black coffee, writing in defiance. Because the left didn't just hijack free speech. They ritualistically murdered it, then built a temple on its grave and called it inclusion. Let me show you how they did it and why you, brother, are already a prisoner if you haven't noticed. Herbert Marcuse, that smug Frankfurt School demon in horn-rimmed glasses, wrote in 1965 that repressive tolerance must be enforced, meaning, ironically, that only certain ideas are allowed tolerance, and dissent from progressive orthodoxy is inherently oppressive and must be silenced. This is the original sin of the modern left. It's not philosophy, it's intellectual arson. Marcuse didn't believe in free speech. He believed in speech control disguised as liberation, and his disciples, tenured Marxists, gender theorists, diversity commissars, have spent the last 60 years institutionalizing his heresy. They've turned campuses into echo chambers, where a student can demand a safe space from ideas, while a man gets slapped with a restraining order for quoting Shakespeare at a coffee shop. I'm not exaggerating. Look up the case of Matthew Grieco at Penn State, suspended for reading a banned book out loud. The fountainhead in a public area. Ayn Rand got him expelled. Meanwhile, Drag Queen Story Hour gets taxpayer funding. That's not tolerance. That's tyranny with glitter on its boots. You know what happens when you outlaw speech. You don't eliminate ideas. You drive them underground, where they fester, mutate, and return stronger. But worse, you train men to police themselves. The chilling effect isn't a metaphor. A 2023 FIRE study found that 64% of college students self-censor due to fear of backlash. That's not education. That's brainwashing via social terror. I've seen men, smart, rational men, hesitate before saying, women are more selective in mating because some shrieking harpy on Twitter once called that toxic misogyny. Brother, that's not science denial, that's Stockholm Syndrome with a sociology degree. You're not oppressing anyone by stating biological facts. The average woman has 3 to 4 sexual partners in her lifetime before settling down. Men have twice that. But if you mention it, you're promoting rape culture. If she mentions it on a podcast, she's empowered. That's not equality. That's genocentric doublethink. Let's talk about Dr. David Marcus. Fired from the University of Pennsylvania in 2021 for questioning gender ideology in a private email. Not a lecture, not a protest. A private email. They called it misgendering. He called it biological reality. They won. He lost his job, and the Academy cheered. This is the new Inquisition. Not torches and racks, HR investigations, and Twitter mobs. The Soviet Union had commissars. We have diversity officers. Mao had struggle sessions. We have mandatory DEI training. The Cultural Revolution devoured its children. Yours is being devoured by safe spaces and trigger warnings. You think I'm exaggerating? Ask the professor at Cambridge who was investigated for reading a book that questioned transgender ideology. Or the Canadian psychologist fined for saying gender is biological. Or the father arrested for saying happy birthday to his daughter on Facebook after losing custody. Yes, arrested. For a birthday message. The state now criminalizes fatherhood, and the left calls this progress. Language is the battlefield. They've weaponized words. Hate speech once meant incitement to violence. Now it means anything a woman or minority finds uncomfortable. Microaggressions aren't slights, they're thought crimes. Did you make eye contact too long? That's intimidation. Did you suggest men and women have different evolutionary strategies? That's patriarchal violence. They've pathologized honesty. And trigger warnings, please. I've seen grown men, PhDs, ask for warnings before reading The Great Gatsby because it depicts toxic masculinity. Brother, if you need a trigger warning for fiction, you should not be allowed near reality. These terms aren't protections, they're psychological martial law. They exist to infantilize men and sanctify female fragility. And they're working. Men are now afraid to speak, to date, to father, to exist without permission. But here's the truth, they can't silence. Free speech is not a privilege. It's the oxygen of reason. It was born in Athens when Socrates pissed everyone off by asking questions. It was defended by Milton, who wrote Areopagitica to stop censorship. Voltaire may not have said, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, but the spirit is true," because he lived it. John Stuart Mill proved that even false speech has value because truth emerges in conflict. That's why the West rose while others stagnated. We argued, we debated, we clashed, and from that fire came science, art, liberty. Now, we have safe spaces where men are told to check their privilege while women check their bank accounts after divorcing them. We have diversity that excludes dissent. We have inclusion that expels truth. This isn't civilization, it's its funeral. So what do? We resist. Not with violence, with words. I call it Socratic resistance, the duty to question, to challenge, to speak. Socrates was condemned for corrupting the youth by making them think. That's our job now. Think aloud. Ask why men commit 97% of prison sentences, yet are denied victim status. Ask why 70% of divorces are initiated by women, yet men lose 70% of their assets. Ask why women abort 93% of Down syndrome babies because they're too much work, but call men selfish for not wanting kids. Ask why cuckoldry rates are 10 to 30% globally, meaning up to 1 in 3 men are raising another man's child, while women scream "believe women." Ask why female suicide rates are lower than men's, yet they dominate victim narratives. Ask why police arrest men for online comments while ignoring female stalkers. The answers are not in the mainstream, they're in the red pill. And the red pill is spoken, not whispered. Train yourself to speak. Join a debate club, write anonymously. Start a podcast. Use humor. The Babylon Bee is doing more to destroy wokeism than all the Republicans combined. Laughter is lethal to lies. When they say men are trash, reply, then why are you dating 12 of them? When they claim toxic masculinity is the problem, ask, then why are 80% of suicides male? But no one says toxic femininity when women weaponize tears in court. Humor is truth in a clown suit. It slips past the guards. The man who cannot speak is already enslaved. The civilization that silences its thinkers is already dead. But we are not dead, we are awake, and we will speak, not for approval, but for truth, because truth is not problematic, truth is liberation. And the Western canon, Aquinas, Locke, Jefferson, didn't build cathedrals and constitutions to please HR. They built them to defend the good, the true, and the beautiful. That's our inheritance, that's our duty. Speak. Or surrender your soul. You think she loves you. She loves the idea of you, the wallet, the protection, the social credit she gains from parading you like a trophy at brunch while planning her next emotional ambush. You've been conditioned since kindergarten to raise your hand before speaking, to smile when insulted, to apologize for existing, while she's been handed the emotional nukes and told use them, and use them she does. The same system that rewards her for guilt, tripping you into buying flowers because you don't show enough affection, is the same system that rewards her for destroying fathers in family court, for weaponizing false accusations, for aborting your child without telling you after you've already bonded, already paid for ultrasounds, already picked out a name. Let's not pretend. The numbers don't lie. Up to 30% of men are raising children that aren't theirs. Thanks to paternity fraud, women admit to on Reddit in the same breath as men are trash. And yet, you're the one who's told to check your privilege, to listen, to be empathetic, while she commits the most intimate betrayal possible and walks away with child support, custody, and a support group. You've been gaslit by a civilization that worships female sentiment over male truth, that calls emotional manipulation nurturing, that brands loyalty toxic when it's inconvenient to female choice. The classroom, the courtroom, the therapist's office, they're all shrines to the goddess of guilt, and you've been sacrificed on her altar. But here's the truth they never taught you. Athena sprang from Zeus's skull, fully armed, not from a womb. Wisdom doesn't come from feelings. It comes from conflict, from thinking, from resisting the seduction of emotional blackmail. Schopenhauer saw it clearly. Woman is nature's agent of reproduction, not truth. And nature, red in tooth and claw, doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about survival. And your survival depends on rejecting the lie that empathy is virtue when it's used as a weapon. So now you know. You've seen behind the curtain. You've learned to spot the mimic, the guilt-monger, the snitch, the silencer. You've been handed the trivium, grammar to clarify, logic to dismantle, rhetoric to conquer. Use it. Speak when they tell you to shut up. Defend your brother when the mob demands his head. Think for yourself, even if it means standing alone. Because the red pill isn't just about seeing the matrix, it's about burning it down and building something true in its place. And if they come for you, good, let them. A man who has nothing to hide is armed with the only power that lasts, the truth. Now go forth. Laugh in their faces, speak without permission, live without apology. The future isn't woke, the future is awake. And now the sponsored book introduction, Diogenes, the first MGTO. You are being lied to, every day, by the media, by the state, by the women you trusted, by the institutions that once claimed to uphold truth. You were raised to believe in fairness, in love, in partnership. You were told that if you worked hard, stayed honest, and treated women with respect, you would be rewarded, not just materially, but morally. You would be seen, valued, protected. Instead, you were disarmed, stripped of your rights, taxed beyond reason, told your instincts are toxic, your strength is oppression, and your desire for autonomy is misogyny. You were gaslit into silence while the world burned around you. I know because I lived it. I was the man who believed in the old ideals, the honor, the duty, the quiet dignity of being a provider. And like you, I was discarded when I was no longer useful. I was lied to by a woman I loved, betrayed by a legal system that sided with her without question, and mocked by a culture that calls this justice. That moment when the illusion shattered was the most painful and most liberating moment of my life, because in that darkness I found Diogenes. Diogenes of Sinope, the naked philosopher in the barrel, was the first man to see through the fraud. He mocked kings, rejected wealth, scorned social approval, and lived by one rule: truth at all costs. He did not beg for women's affection. He did not seek permission to exist. He laughed in the face of tyranny disguised as virtue. And in the ruins of his defiance, I found the blueprint for survival. This book is not another self-help manual disguised as wisdom. It is a war manual, a field guide to mental, emotional, and spiritual rearmament. It is for the man who has been sued for child support on a child that isn't his. The man who lost his home in a divorce after 20 years of marriage. The man who was fired for refusing to call a man a woman. The man who is tired of being told to apologize for being male. This book is for men who have seen the rot, the gynocentric bias in law, the feminist corruption of language, the Marxist hijacking of education, and are ready to fight back with reason, history, and unapologetic masculinity. If you are that man, you are not alone. You are part of a brotherhood that has been silenced but not erased. This book will show you how to reclaim your mind, your body, and your future. It will expose the biological reality of female hypergamy, the instinctual drive of women to seek higher status men, abandon the rest, and weaponize the state to extract resources. It will dismantle the feminist facade, revealing how it is not about equality but about female supremacy, dressed in moral superiority. It will trace how cultural Marxism weaponized compassion to destroy men, families, and nations. You will learn how Diogenes practiced the art of no, how he refused to play the game, refused to be domesticated, and lived free in a world that demanded submission. You will learn the lost art of masculine sovereignty, the right of every man to self-rule, to reject external control and to live by his own code. This is not theory, this is survival, and it can be mastered in 7 days. This book is not for everyone. If you are a woman who believes men owe you deference, protection, and endless emotional labor, close this book now. Go back to your yoga class, your therapy session, your Instagram activism. This truth will not comfort you, it will shatter you. If you're a man who still believes in partnership where you carry the weight and she holds the whip, put this down. Keep drinking the poison. Keep believing you can earn love through sacrifice. Keep paying for dates, for weddings, for alimony, for children that aren't yours, while being told you are privileged. This book is not for cowards. It is not for the brainwashed. It is not for those who worship the hive mind of wokeism, who genuflect before the church of inclusion, who think virtue is measured by how loudly you denounce your own nature. If you are one of them, walk away. Your salvation is not here. Your redemption requires a deeper collapse than I care to witness. But if you are a man who has looked into the abyss of betrayal and asked, "Is this all there is?" then this book is your ladder. It is not kind, it is not gentle. It is not designed to make you feel better. It is designed to make you free. You will learn how language has been weaponized to control you, how words like toxic masculinity are used to shame strength, how equality is used to justify female privilege, how consent is redefined to criminalize normal male behavior. You will see how the media matrix manufactures consent for female supremacy and male disposability. You will understand the fitness of freedom, how your body, your mind, and your spirit were designed for challenge, not comfort. You will rediscover the money mandate, the right of every sovereign man to keep what he earns, to spend it as he chooses, to refuse to fund a system that hates him. And you will join the Brotherhood Reborn, the men who have woken up, who have rejected the gynocentric trap, who are building new lives outside the collapsing system. This is not retreat, it is strategic withdrawal. It is the first move in a war that has been waged against men for decades. Diogenes saw it coming, he lived it, and he won, not by changing the world, but by refusing to let it change him. That same victory is available to you, not through rage, but through clarity, not through violence, but through invulnerability. The path is laid out in these pages. The truth is here. The choice is yours. Diogenes, the first Mgito, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.